Hello, welcome to the second part of my layout build. I've not really had a name for it yet, but I will be coming up with one of those. And thanks for all the comments on the river or canal, and everybody says river. And I think that is a better choice. I think it will look better. I'm going to do some sort of ripples on the water, maybe a boathouse here. I've just sort of decided on how I'm going to do this bridge. It's like, am I going to have the first and second radius tight curves on display here? I've actually been thinking about putting second and third radius here and then first and second radius at the other end. That means the bridge would then move across here a little bit, which would be, I think, look a little bit better, you know. So and then it will come out there and then go up. So there is a potential for a bit more space or something else that side. So I think that's what I'm going to have a look at now. I'm just going to see how that will look. Okay, that's second and third radius there. Okay, it's not perfect because I hadn't actually planned on doing it like this. So you're going to have a curve going right into the bridge. It's not perfect, sort of ideal, and it does come very close to this scenery there, but I think being slightly wider on a scenic part of the layout probably possibly might look better. So, and then obviously if we can come over the bridge, then we'll need to up a little bit, so then it would come over the bridge and then sort of dogleg a little bit, so we can then go into a tighter curve inside the tunnel. Downside to that tight curves into tunnel, I can't see what the locomotive is doing, if it would derail or anything like that, but I think this is going to be the best option, and I think I'm going to have to make the best of this now. So because I'm not sure it will look totally perfect. I mean, there is one other option. You mix and match some of the curves. So this is second radius. I could put two first radiuses in here, so it comes into a first radius and then second. But I'm not keen on that, and same with the. It's great when you go in off circuit like that is, so you can have a very nice shallow one, and then it tightens up when you go off circuit. So I think I'm going to have this as second and third radius here. Bridge is in a better position there. I'll just do a little bit of a trimming off, and then I can put a concrete pads for it to sit on, really. And I'm not sure, yes, it's quite a nice little girder bridge, so I'm going to get this built. It just comes in 4 pieces and glue that together. Right, I'm going to get the bridge built and then just cut away a small piece of this, and then I can sort of, and now have a better idea. So sometimes working on the fly is great. I mean, I did a little bit of a plan, thought it was all going to be, and then I've sort of changed my mind again. I thought we'd get this bridge built. I'm just going to put a little bit of super glue on here. First side on. It's very cheap super glue, that one, so hopefully it works. I couldn't get any good quality one at the discount store, so I picked that up today. I'm probably wishing I hadn't. But let's see. Well, it's glued it and to my cutting mat. Sort of glued it. What's that on the cutting mat? Yeah, as I thought, it's pretty rubbish. I'm going to have to find some decent stuff. Or maybe I just need to hold it longer. Right, I'm going to hold this and we'll come back. Well, I think that's really a very poor glue. So let's, I'm going to have to carry on with it. I think you just need to let this set properly for quite a while, these cheaper glues, which is not as good. But that is the bridge, in a sense. So we've got the, it's a bit hard to see, so, but yeah, I think that will work. And it should sit there quite nicely. It doesn't actually look too bad, you know, even on if that was all grass side, you know, so yeah, that's not too bad. I'm going to put that to one side. And what I do need to do, and let's take this glue away, nasty cheap glue. And I need to cut some piece of card, and this is going to form the banks of the river. Not sure what size or depth to cut this to, but I need something to keep the realistic water at bay so it doesn't overflow into the whole layout. So whether I cut it to 5mm or 10mm, I think 5mm will be a good size, and then if I do a 2 or 3mm pour, or even up to a 5mm pour, and I think it to be perfect. You just need to cut through all these. When you cut in thick card, this is 2mm card, don't try and cut it all in one, you just make a mess. And use a good new blade. Just do several cuts. You'll find that once it's cut and gone through, and then the idea of this is I can then contour it to the river and then fill in up to the bank. So I'll show you that. So I'm going to cut a few more strips of these and get all the strips cut, and then I'll get to getting the banks of the river in. Right, I've got all my pieces of card cut for the riverbank, and I'm going to now start to get these in place. So I'm going to need to just bend this card into the shape that I want, and then just glue in place, really. And then I can just put some filler in afterwards. So, just going to use some PVA glue. Not too bothered if I use too much or not enough. Well, I don't want to use not enough, but too much, not an issue. Right, let's get that done. Do have more of this glue. Definitely going to run out of glue if I keep using it at this rate. Right, I'm going to carry on getting the rest of this embankment in, let all the glue dry, then I'm going to put a bit of filler in there, and then really start to get this little bit of the scenery done, and then I can get some tracks laid. That's the bit I'm really looking forward to. That is all the bank in place. It should be okay. A couple of little bits that I want to tidy up a tiny little bit, but then I'll put a bit of filler in just to hide all those gaps there. And really I've just got to wait now to let it dry. So we'll come back as soon as that's dry. Right, all the glue is all nicely dried now. So that riverbank should be nice and watertight once I get the resin in there. So I'm going to just fill in a few of the gaps just with a bit of filler just before I start to put the plaster bandage over the top. And then I'm just going to make sure that this is nice and level as well once it's all dried. For this I'm actually just using some standard polyfill. Well, this is actually the advanced polyfiller. It's slightly lighter than the normal one, so it shouldn't weigh the layout down, and it resists all cracking and everything like that. And I've used this on quite a few layouts now, mainly to make concrete hard standing. So I'm just going to go through all of this, get it all filled with all the gaps to where the riverbank is, so when we come to put all the textures on, it hides it all and smooths it into a nice, oops, drop that back in there. Like I said, it then smooths it off into a nice smooth texture down to the riverbank. I do have a little bit of colour that I got in the bottom of this from the Christmas scene. Okay, I'm going to carry on doing that and we'll come back. So all the gaps are covered. I've actually used a little bit more than just over all the edges. There's a little bit of a gap there actually that I hadn't properly done. Well spotted. So let me, I think I could do with just putting a little bit more on that as well. But the idea is I can then give it a quick sand just to get the nice level, but I want to sort of have it fairly sloping down here because I want to put like a couple of some boats here and a little boat house or something like that. So, but I just need to leave this to dry, which will take a good few hours. So I'll come back later. All the filler is now nicely dried. I'm just going to give it a little bit of just a sand to try and get it a bit smoother, especially where the bridge comes in and out. Just really, and I just make sure it fits the bridge, and I've just started to cut some pieces for underneath the bridge for it to sit on, but as this bridge is slightly proud, I'm going to have to sort of just lower that slightly so it's the same height as the track bed. So I'm just going to carry on sanding this for the moment. It won't take me too long, and then I just want to try the bridge and the supports, and then start getting some of the plaster cloth down. So let me carry on with this and then we'll come back. I was just getting the level right where the bridge is, just using a ruler from one side of the board to the other, and that seems to be about right there now. Taking quite a bit off, making a lot of mess, but I want this to be right, so because you don't want the track to come up and then back down, it'll just look rubbish and run really badly. So I think that part's okay. I just need to carry on cleaning the rest of the scenery. Just want to cut this into a few manageable pieces. Only going to put one layer over most of it, because it's actually quite smooth. It just helps the grass really stick and the PVA glue. PVA glue doesn't seem to stick to that expanding foam very well, so you do need to always cover it with some plaster cloth. I think I'll probably use a whole reel, I think. Or I might just see where I get to on that. Decisions. Time I've made a decision, I'm probably going to use the whole roll. And I'm going to cut to the end. on this, I do like to just put a little bit of PVA glue in with mine for some reason. Always have done. Haven't got anything left in here. Maybe not. Maybe I put a bit of water in there. Wow, that's all that gone. But I just always like to do that. You don't have to, you don't need to. It's really just to apply it over the whole layout. So I'm going to get this over all of the layout now. Don't think you need to watch every single piece going down. So we'll come back once I've got all this done. Now I've got that all covered. So I've covered all this part of the scenic with the plaster cloth. Just need to let this dry now. That's going to take a couple of hours. And then I just need to get some paint on here before I put the track down. And I'm going to get this curve on because that's like the most crucial part. That's why I've been sort of working on this. I wouldn't normally do scenery before I've done the track, but I needed to get levels for this river. So this is the only reason I've not got any track on just yet. Okay, let's. I'm going to come back once all this is dry, get some paint on the board, and then I want to get this first curve laid so I can then get the bridges in place. Right, that seems fairly dry now. I'm going to get the track bed painted, and I've just chose like just a standard wall paint, just in grey. It's really just to take away the sort of the wood underneath, and if you do need to take any of these up, you can, because I always stick my track down with PVA glue, and if you need to take it up, it becomes a lot easier because you can just wet it and then it doesn't pull any of the MDF. So I'm just going to get all this track bed painted and let this dry. Problem is with building layouts is just waiting time before you can do something else. Sometimes you need to wait for ordering parts and things like that, so I'm going to just get all this painted up. So I don't know if you can see there, but just on the bridge I put in the two concrete pieces. I'm going to backfill them in, but I'm just using the ruler so that's nice and level, and that's holding them in place at the moment. So, but let me get the rest of all this track bed painted, let it dry, and then I'm going to start getting some of this track down. Hi, as you can see, we have some track, all the paint dried. I started to just put this first curves in and just checking, and I know I've got bridges straight after the curve, which isn't ideal, but I just want to make sure that they will go and they won't catch or anything like that. So, and let me just put this. It's not the easiest putting it on a curve. There we go. So you can see that we've got absolutely loads of room there, even with the longest coaches. This is actually, I've used these and I've actually set them at set track rather than streamline. And the reason for that is, as you can see here, I'm going to be using some set track points in this section here. And that's for doing points tests and things like that. And also, there isn't always the space. So I've got to do a little bit of mix and match, I think. But I was just testing to see how the bridge fitted, see how flat it was, and that all seems to sort of fit in quite nicely there. Looks okay. I would have liked the bridge to have sat a little bit further across that way, so it became a bit more of a straight before it got into the bridge, but I just haven't got the room. So, but this is looking okay. I did have to just sand a little bit down on here because this was slightly up, so I must have got a bit more, too much plaster cloth on there. So I'm going to start getting the rest of this track on. I need to build a bridge for here. I've got these Pico bridge sides that I will be using, but I need to make a piece of card first. Now, I've cut a little bit of plastic card for the underneath of the bridge, and I really just need now to make sure that we're not going to hit the bridge sides. So I'm just going to temporarily put a piece of track on here just to test it. Do with a couple of straight pieces of track, really, I think. I think that's only enough for me to test. So roughly that's going to go on the edge there. And coach it all off the rails. And no, that's going to hit the bridge, so I don't have enough clearance there. I'm going to need right on the edge of the card. Like that. Now we just get enough clearance there. Shouldn't have any problem with this. So let me just test that. Well, I say I shouldn't have any. That's really close. So that's going to have to go there. That does just miss. So it's very close to everything, but I don't want to make too much of a gap there. But I think that's just enough. I'm not going to really run a lot of large coaches like this, but there is the potential to run anything like this, so I don't want to rule it out. So I think that's okay. So I'm going to start getting the rest of the track down. I'm going to glue this piece in, but before I do that I need to just colour underneath, put some flock underneath, some of the grass texture. Same with that bridge, because I can't get to it once it's all in place. So that's going to be my next job. Just get a bit of glue, green paint, bit of glue, and then some grass textures just underneath on the bridge sections. Then get this bridge glued in place, and same with that one, and then start to lay the rest of the track. Really just got a small bit, so doesn't matter too much because I'm going to sort of work out some supports for this bridge as well. So bridge is where you can't get to once the bridge is actually in place. So I painted all this green on here, and just put a bit of PVA glue mixed in with the paint. And I think I will do a coat of paint on the canal as well, because I won't be able to get to it that well once I have the bridges in place. Although I should still be able to get a brush underneath there like that, because there'll still be a small clearance, enough for boats, so should be enough for my brush. And yeah. Just going to make it easier, trying to get the grass pushed underneath. And if I do miss a bit, it's not going to be too difficult, since we've got the green colour. So there we go. While that dries, I'm going to get the other section of the track in place on the other end of the board. And I need to make sure I'm getting it spaced the same. So just going to get those level. And it just moves. I'm going to have to put a little bit of a weight on there, I think. I'll use this. One thing I just need to make sure it's is going to be right. So as I did on the previous side, I was just making sure that we're all so I'm going to need to weigh that down as well. So what I'll just use a couple of tins initially. So let's just check this in the middle. Oh, that's not quite right anyway. Something doesn't seem to be lining up as quite right there. So that's not perfectly straight. So I'm going to sort of keep working on this and get this end how I like it. Get that glued down and then start working on the rest. As you can see, the layout is now starting to take shape. I got all these two curves all in place. This is first and second radius there. Majority of that's going to be hidden by the tunnel. Then we go into a tunnel exit there, and then we sort of slalom down a little bit. So and into the girder bridge, sort of onto the river where I've already put a bit of grass texture just to hide that, and then we will come back round over the river, over the girder bridge, through the set of test points, and this is where we're going to have the siding. So there's going to be a sort of an interesting siding that comes along here, and just one that goes along there. I'm going to leave that as a little bit of a surprise yet, because it's still work in progress in what I'm going to do. I did come up with a slight problem with these points. That's why they're not actually fitted yet. I bought 4 brand new points. I bought 4 left and 4 right, but I need to use 4 right now. So I've only got 2 second-hand right ones, which I don't really want to use. So I want to use all brand new points with this layout. So I'm going to need to buy 2 new points, and also I'm going to need to drill the holes for the point motors. And the issue that I've got is I've got a wooden batten that runs along here, so I can't drill the point motor because it will go straight into the wooden batten. So I'm going to have to take a sort of piece out of the wooden batten, but I've got an idea of how to fix that. So I think that will be a good fix, I think, but still all sort of still in the air at the moment. So but that girder bridge actually came out quite well, I thought, and it did stick together. That tube super glue wasn't the best, but it worked okay in the end. So but I've been testing all the track, making sure we've got all the good clearance with 2 coaches, and everything's absolutely fine. They're the longest coaches I've got, so anyway, that concludes the end of part 2. In part 3 I want to get all the points fitted and the holes drilled ready for the point motors, and a lot more scenery added in. So but thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this part 2, and hope to see you on part 3, and I wish you a very good evening or a good rest of the day, and take care.